Hello and welcome to the channel, and today I'll be taking a look at a classic car auction which is due to be held by Historics Auctioneers on Saturday the 23rd of November 2024. The sale is to take place at the Brooklands Velocity, Mercedes-Benz World in Weybridge, Surrey. I'd like to add that this video is intended for entertainment purposes only, to make you aware of the sale and some of the vehicles that will be coming to market. I have not seen any of these vehicles in person. I make no recommendations, and the views and opinions expressed by me are based purely upon the online sales catalogue, and would add that this can be no substitute for attendance in person on one of the viewing days. Photographs and videos cannot be relied upon to fully reflect a car's true state. I personally would not buy any vehicle sight unseen. So if any of these vehicles are of serious interest to you as a potential buyer, I would advise you to make your own inquiries for each lot prior to the sale. And I would also advise that you attend in person on one of the viewing days to determine description, condition, suitability and value for yourself. I think what you tend to get with Historics is you get a good wide range of vehicles, and it usually caters for most budgets, from the everyday to the exotics. That said, let's go and have a look and see what we can find. Right, now I don't intend looking at all of the lots because there's too many. But what I'm going to do is, as we go through, I'll select certain ones that I find appealing and we'll maybe have a look a bit further at them. Now, the first one, the 64 Ford Consul Corsair, I'm not going to select that one, but I would say it's got quite an interesting backstory. So if you want to have a look at that one, equally, you can do that. The 1990 Jaguar Sovereign, that's a one owner from new, so it's over 34 years that it's been owned, and it's got 37,000 miles. That's another interesting one. And let's have a look. The BMW Z3 with 55,000 miles. You've got a Jowett Kestrel, and I've got to be honest and say I'm very familiar with the Jowett Javelins, but I don't think I've ever seen a Jowett as old as that, so that's interesting to see. We've got a nice Java Green Triumph Stag. I haven't looked at that one. I'm not going to select that one. If you wish to have a look at that, you can. A carbon gear Beetle convertible. Pretty little DB9. Quattro Coupe. And a second Stag in Tahiti Blue. Which one would you have between the two? Hard choice. I like both colours. Yeah, very difficult. Right, now the first lot I'm going to select is going to be lot 120. Now this Porsche 911 Carrera Targa was built in 1984, and apparently it wasn't registered in the UK until 1987. It's got the 3.2 litre flat six engine with a 5-speed gearbox, and it's claimed to have a 0 to 60 time of around 6.5 seconds. Mileage is showing as 95,253. And at some point, it's had a full body rebuild, and it says that it comes with a photographic record. But there's also a note to say that there's some minor age-related marks as well. I've always liked this generation of the 911, the G series. I like the wider arches and the whale tail spoiler. And to me, they are era defining. As far as I'm concerned, it just takes you back to the days of the Yuppie. Right, now the second lot I'm going to take a look at is lot 121. It's the Aston Martin Vanquish. The Aston Martin Vanquish, a model you may remember featuring the James Bond film Die Another Day. And it was nicknamed the Vanish by Q, who was played by John Cleese, if you recall, because of its ability to become invisible. The model was introduced in 2001 as a two-seater coupe or as a 2+2, and production ran through until 2007. Obviously, as you know, it's got the V12 engine with a 6-speed automated manual gearbox. Of course, it was designed by Ian Callum, who also penned the DB7. In 2004, it saw the introduction of the revised and upgraded Vanquish S, and 2007 saw the run-out model, the Ultimate, and the final 50 being finished in black. And it was the last Aston Martin to be built at the Newport Pagnell factory. I love these first generation cars, and I think they offer excellent value for money at the moment. But you need to ensure that you buy right. And I'd also temper that by saying, don't expect to run one of these cars on a budget, because you won't. Now, this car is a 2003 model, and it's finished in Litchfield black, and it's said to have been upgraded with the Sports Dynamic Pack, consisting of enhanced steering, suspension, and brakes to S specification. Mileage is reported as being 54,596. And it's interesting to note that it was also used by Aston Martin themselves as a demonstrator, and it bore the famous AML1 registration at one point. Nice Mercedes E220 Cabriolet there, bonny colour. Another DB9, such excellent value at the moment, Astons. Right, the next lot I'm going to select is lot 124. The Porsche 914. Now, this one looks quite special to me. It's an IMSA GT Vacation Road race car, and I think it looks rather appealing. I think it's a nice colour, and I just think it looks the business. I find it to be the most pleasing and attractive 914 that I've seen for a long time, and I just think it looks so right. Right, moving on. Dolomite Sprint there. And the Virage here, I think that's got 37,000 miles on the clock. But the next one I'm going to select is lot 131. The 2010 Camaro SS, very nice. And I think it's an attractive colourway of Daytona white with the red racing stripes. It's got a 6.2 litre engine and said to develop 426 brake horsepower. Let's have a look and see what else we can find. Aston Martin Rapide, the four-door Aston Martin. Yes, very nice. A Healy, an Edsel, but I'm going to select lot 139 just very quickly. The 1970 Mark II Jensen Interceptor, another interesting car. Who doesn't love an Interceptor? And of course, Interceptors were no strangers to famous owners, and this one being no exception. It was purchased new by the actor Robin Ellis, who was best known for his role as Ross Poldark in the 1975 BBC TV series. I'm not going to say a lot more about it. I'll let you read the write-up yourself if you want to read more about the car. But yes, I love Interceptors. Lot 140. This is another one I'm just going to take a very quick glance at. 1988 Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit. Apparently that's just got over 34,000 miles. And the 1996 DB7, that's in Cheviot Red. And that's another interesting car, being a one owner from new and just 57,000 miles. It's worth reading more about the car, and the detailed service history says quite a lot. That Mark X Jaguar, as you see, it was previously owned by Madonna. It was bought by Madonna for her son Rocco, apparently. I'm not going to select that one. The next one I'm going to select is lot 160. The AC Asika, another quality car company with an excellent pedigree. Of course, most people are aware of the AC Cobra, perhaps not so much of the earlier AC cars. This example is one of three which was entered in the 1956 Monte Carlo Rally. Lovely quality cars. Again, it's another very interesting and detailed write up, and it's well worth reading. Let's see the BMW M635. I'm not selecting that one though. So many nice vehicles to look at. It's just a question of time and how much time we have. The next one I'm going to take a very quick glance at is Lot 169, the 2004 Ferrari 360 Spider, just 20,000 miles. And next up, I'm going to take a look at 173. So we're now looking at a 2002 Bentley Continental R. And as you see, it's the Mulliner wide body model. It's finished in Silver Storm and it looks glorious, doesn't it? It's one of just 148 built and it's got 72,000 miles recorded and 32 services on record. Apparently, it's been repainted in September 2024 at a cost of £12,000. And it's also interesting to note that it was last serviced in October by Ian Tyrrell Classic Cars. Not really a lot more to be said, is there? I think that pretty much says it all. Right, moving on further still. Interesting Testarossa there with 18,000 miles on the clock. And equally a lovely looking Bentley Turbo R. I think that Ford Zodiac, I think it said it had 25,000 miles on the clock from new. And now for your delectation, I am going to select lot 185. Now this is something really special as far as I'm concerned. It's a 1961 Bentley Continental Series 2 two-door. And this car comes from an era of understated elegance. It's a period when the coach builder was still king. You had the likes of James Young, Harold Radford, Hooper, Park Ward, and this one was built by H.J. Mulliner. It's such a pretty design and it just oozes the three C's: charm, character, and class like no other. The chassis was sent to H.J. Mulliner on the 12th of September 1960. And 4 months later, the Continental was delivered to Jack Barclay and registered to Mr. Percy Levy of London NW3 on the 13th of January 1961. The coachwork is finished in the pretty shade of mist green and it's got a beautiful green leather interior. And apparently, Mr. Levy specified some interesting extras, which included a sunroof. It had electric windows, an electric aerial, and it had a combined parking and flashing lights. He also had a fire extinguisher and a Bentley mascot. What is interesting to note is that the car has a rear reading light, but to the near side only. And it also has a single headrest, again to the near side rear, which would indicate that this was a chauffeur driven car. This, in my opinion, is still a pretty car, and I'd liken it to a beautiful woman that's aged gracefully. It comes from a time when we had a very different Britain. Back then, few people owned cars, but to own a Rolls Royce or a Bentley, you had to be someone. They worked for the hoi polloi. But of course, this wasn't just a Bentley, it was a Continental. And you can only imagine what it must have been like to have taken delivery back in 1961 from Jack Barclay in Berkeley Square, London. But would he have gone to collect the car? I think it more likely that it would have been delivered to his home in NW3. Wonderful. Simply wonderful. So where do we stand today? Well, the mileage is stated as 28,830 and it was purchased by the current owner in 2017 for £265,000. He then commissioned extensive mechanical work which totalled a further £24,958.71. And then the following year proceeded to spend a further £6,000 on interior and boot cosmetics. It seems evident to me that this is a no expense spared car, and it comes with invoices dating back to 1978 and said to have an extensive history folder as well as the original build sheets. The paint is largely original, and the current owner was reluctant to repaint the car because he found the originality very appealing. You can see there are areas where the paint's been polished through. So what do you do with it? Do you have the paint refreshed or leave it as it is? Well, it's your choice. As the auctioneers say, it's reflected in the estimate. But it's a difficult one. You could have it repainted, looking as new, and it would be fantastic. But do you know, I think I'd be inclined to agree with the current owner's decision, and I'd leave it as it is. I'd use it and I'd just enjoy it. That reminds me, I must buy a lottery ticket this weekend. Right, I'm going to leave it at that for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, then why not join us for part two because there's plenty more to come. And take care.